from here. So I've known Dr. Carolyn for I think over 10 years now. I first met her actually, she was a landlord for me and a couple friends of mine. Over the years, came to know her much better, and I think I can call us friends, which is an honor of mine. Dr. Carolyn Colleen is an author, speaker, and executive leader whose work is grounded in service, stewardship, and the belief that strong communities are built through clarity, dignity, and shared responsibility. Her professional path has been shaped by moments that required resilience and reflection, experiences that deepened her commitment to leadership that serves others, especially in times of pressure or uncertainty. Rather than focusing on speed or achievement alone, Carolyn's work centers on building the internal capacity that allows individuals and organizations to lead with integrity and care. Through education, leadership, and community-based initiatives, she focuses on what sustains people over time: thoughtful decision-making, ethical leadership, and the quiet strength that emerges when service is placed above self. Her work reflects Rotary's belief that lasting impact comes not from urgency or ego, but from a steady commitment to the common good. Without further ado, Dr. Carolyn Colleen.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. I love this room. There's so many faces and smiles. And, when people meet me, a lot of times they meet me in the middle of my story. Sometimes when they meet me, they see what Travis just shared: some titles, some accomplishments, and might assume that I've got it all together. And the beautiful thing, and like many of you in the room, I did not show up all formed. I've had many storms in my short lifetime. And these are the storms that shaped me. Now, these are storms that I didn't ask for, but I've had the opportunity and the invitation to decide who I chose to become inside the storm. And we all have that opportunity. Life does not get easier. There's a little, spoiler alert for you. It doesn't necessarily get easier. We have a lot of storms in our lives. However, we may learn to navigate them better and who we choose to become despite the storm. Now, I want to share with you a moment, and many of you know quite a bit of my story in the younger years, and a lot of those different storms. And if you want to go deeper, I have a book, I have a TED Talk on it. We can chat. And I want to share a moment that helped me shift of a recent storm. In that moment where I'm driving and I pull in to the driveway of the house that I built with my spouse. I pull in, papers are signed, T's are crossed, I's are dotted. As I pull into the driveway, I stop. And I cannot let go of the steering wheel. My heart's racing, and I can't move. In that moment, I didn't know it, but when I look back now, I was experiencing a panic attack. Everything was just spinning. And I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice that when I walked into that house with the divorce paperwork that had just been completed, who was I choosing to become? All the dreams that I had created were being swept away in an instant. Here I am, again. The shame that I felt. I'm about to be divorced twice, y'all. Now, I had reason to make that choice of, is this storm going to make me hard? Or am I going to go deeper? And there's no one who's going to, blame me for choosing to become hard. But in that moment, I had to decide, who was I choosing to become? I took a deep breath, and I had to search for what I knew. I had to pull out tools that had been put away for a very long time. And I had created, over the years, as you may know, I created a methodology that helped thousands of people learn how to create new neural pathways by taking a deep breath, focusing on one thing, and using fierce action in order to make one intentional step forward. And I had to take my own medicine. I had to walk into that room and into that house with my kids, and I had to decide, I'm going to go deeper and I'm going to work on me. How, God, did I end up in this place again? And I did. I took a deep breath, I focused, and I used all of that anxiety to move forward 5 minutes at a time. With that, I was able to choose. And I remembered, growing up as a kid, I had this song. Now, how many people remember Whitney Houston? Yeah. So Whitney Houston, she has this song, The Greatest Love of All. Now, Whitney Houston, rest her soul, she was a tormented human, but also had beautiful gifts. And with those gifts, she shared in her lyrics, I believe the children are our future. And as I listened to those lyrics that helped me on my journey, I had to remember quite a bit of times where I had to give grace to myself and understand that, yes, children are our future, and we also have children inside. And each time we come across these storms, we have to choose. How are we choosing to show up? How are we choosing to use our tools? And how are we choosing to move forward? Now, as I was understanding the greatest love of all that's inside of me, I had to dig deep. And I also had to realize that despite my storms, I'm going to surround myself with people that see who I'm choosing to be. Yeah, I am faulted. I am imperfect. I've made many mistakes, probably 20 of them before I got here today. And I'm also choosing to surround myself with people who see me for who I am, how I choose to serve, and where I'm choosing to pay it forward. And with that, I have the opportunity, and we all have the opportunity, to provide dignity. Now, in the words of Whitney Houston, she would say, now, you can take everything away from me, but you cannot take my dignity. And that is the thoroughfare of what I use in order to help myself, releasing shame, stepping into who I'm choosing to be, and also give the opportunity for others to stand in dignity. How might we surround ourselves with people who see us for who we are, who we truly are? And that is something that I've understand a truth. A truth in that dignity is not given. It's something that is built, perhaps just 5 minutes at a time. Now, as I am coming out of who I'm choosing to become out of divorce, I'm smiling for my children. I am going to birthday parties and I'm showing up in rooms with my, how I call it, what my husband, endearing. Because in the future, I'm choosing who I am and how I show up for my kids. And we've chosen together to show up despite the pain. to be in the same room, despite how much we disagree, to be able to show up, give grace, and move forward little by little. I processed in quiet. I sobbed more than I had sobbed ever. And with that, I refused to waste the lesson. I asked, what am I supposed to learn from this? The lesson that can emerge. I went inward, not to move on. I went inward to become steady. Because we can move through storms without becoming a storm. Now, I'm grateful. I'm so very grateful for the lesson. And also, I'm grateful for this room. Because those of you in this room have been there. You have stewarded me. You've taken me as I stand authentically, give me hugs, smile. You've even invited me to your tables. We've broken bread together. You see my boys, they know you, you know them. Sometimes they're like, hey, somebody said hi to me. I don't know who that was. Yeah. Oh no, they know you. And for me, I wanted a higher order for my kids. Why did I choose to be in this room? I wanted to be able to give it this gift for generations to come for my kids. I wanted to be able to have a higher order to show to my children through my storm, as the many storms, how am I choosing to show up in a room? Now, yes, is my nervous system out of control? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes there's triggers that show up when I have to be in a room with people that I might not agree with. And here's the beauty, I don't have to agree. That's the beauty. I don't have to. But I can step forward stronger. And that's the beauty, I feel, that I can step into intentionally. The dignity of disagreement. The dignity of stewardship, where I can raise my boys to see, yes, I can exist in a room where I don't agree. And I can also be in a room of belonging over perfection. Thank you for seeing me. And within this practice, I can breathe, I can focus, and I can take fierce action. When my nervous system is out of control, I can take a deep breath and I can choose intentionally. What this methodology, if you subscribe or watch my TEDx talk, what I've done with this methodology has provided a new way to create new neural pathways. What has happened in the past, I can't take it away, but I can create new neural pathways intentionally in which to move forward. And so what was created out of survival many years ago, as you may recall, when I was standing in line at the Salvation Army, waiting for food, in the next storm, as I'm sitting in that driveway and I have to pull it out. I cannot take away the hurts, but what I can do is I can create a new neural pathway that helps me move forward in an intentional way. What I can do that was created out of survival is moving forward, it can be something for freedom. I can rewire those stories and those neural pathways into something productive, into something that serves me in how I choose to show up. And what that provides me is calm in a world of chaos. You know, we're sold quite a bit on chaos and urgency, and it's got to be done yesterday. And what about maybe taking a deep breath and having calm clarity in which to make a decision that's intentional? We end up in rooms where, for me, sitting next to My husband, freshly out of divorce, and needing to be able to be calm, collected, and make clear decisions. We may have that throughout our day. We might be in rooms where there are people that we don't see the same way. And how are we showing up to be able to be calm and collected and make an intentional decision? And I can do that, and I offer the invitation to you to do it just 5 minutes at a time. What I choose within Rotary is being able to invite people into the architecture. When we have a strong structure, when we have a community and the people within this room to hold us up, even when we're dealing with the hardest moments, that architecture and that structure and that scaffolding will help us move forward. And that is why I am so intentional to be able to be in this room and have my kids in this room. Because long after I'm gone, this room and you will be stewarding my boys long after I'm gone. Rotary builds that scaffolding throughout all the different professions that we have in the room. We have a shared commitment. Despite differences, we all are in this room for a shared commitment. How about we elevate humanity? Service without structure turns people out, but structure without service loses its soul. Another way that I've been honored to be able to build toward a stronger future together. You'll notice on your table I have photos, and you'll see the photos from the Children's Business Fair, which is now a 5th year. How might we steward our future? One way is to help young people practice becoming through real choices and real responsibility. When I watch children step into leadership, they solve problems and they create something. They try something brave. Where you don't see just activities, you see dignity forming, taking risks, being scared. I like to say, hey, whenever you have that feeling where you're like, you feel like you can't barely move, you feel like you're gonna do something courageous, and then you end up doing it, what you're doing is you're up-leveling. It's kind of like that iPhone 17. We're up-leveling to the new version. So I'm like Carolyn version, I don't know, 325,000. I don't know. But trying something brave, stepping into dignity, and seeing sovereignty take root. And being in the room where change happens. Because children remind us who we used to be and who we're choosing to be to stand up to show them how to be. Before the world taught us to shrink. For us, and for every single one of us, storms will always come. You can probably highlight one today. Maybe later this afternoon. And who are we choosing to become? Because collapse does not come, and it doesn't have to be, collapse comes, but it doesn't have to be inevitable. Leadership is not what we do when life looks impressive. Leadership is what we do in the storm when it's hard. When life breaks in the hardest moments. When we choose that the storm does not break us. Because we do not have to choose, we don't get to choose every single storm. But we are invited who we become in that storm. And then over time, that becomes dignity. In each and every one of you, as we show up at Rotary Lights, as we show up in the food pantry, as we show up taking down Rotary Lights, show up ringing some bells, putting together iFeed, as we show up and interact, setting up tables. Each and every one of those moments, despite the storms that we are all dealing with, we're choosing how we navigate that storm. And we are providing dignity to the people that we might never meet. Now, as I share a little bit of my story, and many things that you may or may not know, there's this, and then there's the internal storm. Now, I might show up with a smile, because I chose that. I might show up with my, as you notice, so I mean, you may or may not notice, pretty much everything that I wear is secondhand, except for the nylons. But it may seem that I have it together, and it may seem that a lot of people have it together. But each and every one of us are navigating different things. Offering up dignity for our youth, offering up dignity to each other. Thank you. Because through dignity, slowly and faithfully, that becomes freedom. And I stand here before you with not being somebody who has got it figured out in any capacity, but I stand here as someone who is still becoming. And I'm grateful to become alongside each and every one of you. You've been there. You've seen my journey. You've picked me up off the ground. Some of you have seen me completely sob and lose it. Some of you have been there to see me celebrate. And this is the kind of community that I am so very grateful for. And that is why I chose to be right here at Rotary. Thank you for helping me become each and every day. I'm grateful for the community that is willing to build the architecture that outlives us all. Thank you.
Carolyn, thank you for sharing your story and your courageous outlook on life. And I know that you're always a light when you enter this room, and your positivity radiates throughout the room, and we're grateful for that. And Linas, we certainly appreciate you as a member here, so thank you. Okay, we have a few minutes. What I'd like you to do at your tables, let's use this as an opportunity to talk to each other. Why don't you talk about with a partner, not the whole table, we won't have time for that, but turn to one or two people at your table and talk about someone who was inspiring for you sometime throughout your life. Describe that person to the person at your table. And maybe you can talk about, was it a difficult time? You were in a time of storm. Was it an exciting time, celebration? Someone who's been influential to your life. Go ahead. You've got about 4 minutes. Okay, if you haven't gone to the second person, you need to do that now. We've got about a minute left. Okay, 15 seconds. Five seconds. All right, let's come back. Sue, our sergeant at arms is breaking the rules and asking for one more second. Okay. Okay, well, I'll watch you. You're fine. Would anyone like to share their story of inspiration? Anyone willing to share? Oh, Shy. If you can introduce yourself.
Okay. She said I can introduce myself. I'm Shy, you guys. I am with Hope Restores, and this is my table over here. And we really pulled a lot from just you sharing and being vulnerable. We thought that it was a really great opportunity to remember to like check on your strong friends, because we all do wear masks. It's necessary to survive, if you ask me. You may call them masks, you may call them hats, but you definitely are not wearing the original one and only that one from the start. So that was a really big thing that we took from it. And then the other piece that I will share is that throughout my life, there are so many different inspirational, just strong people that I've gleaned from, that I've borrowed from, you know. And one of the people that I shared about is my best friend, Shemaya. I've been friends with this goofy girl for like 30 years, and we have literally laughed our way through life. Like, there are things that will happen, and I'm like, see, Shemaya, that's the thing that I'd be in the psych ward for. They would just submit me, like, right there, you know, and she's always there with the laugh. And then it turns into something that we are just mocking, and it's just a good time. But when you have somebody that you can be vulnerable with and you can say, hey, that really scares me, like, how do you do it? Like, you learn something from them. So thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable and reminding us to do the same, not just for us, but for other people too. So you too are my inspiration.
Awesome. Thank you, Shy. Great. Wonderful. Time for one more. Does anyone want to share something about? Oh, hi, Julie.
Carolyn, thank you for making me feel so much better today. It started out to be a really, really bad day, and this has really changed it. Thank you. I was inspired by Hal. How many in this room remember Hal? Yeah, my late husband, Hal. Rotary changes lives. You all know the story that he was the GSE team leader, and I was on the team. We got married after we came back from Germany. I was like Carolyn. Have been recently divorced, and I had to sit in the same room with the husband at parent-teacher conferences and the doctor's office, and send them off to his second marriage. Made sure they had pretty dresses to wear to his next marriage, and it was really hard. And I was really wounded when Hal and I met, and he saw in me something and made me what I am today. gave me confidence again and always brought out the best in me. So I thank Hal today.
Thanks for sharing. Oh, awesome. Boy, this meeting is just all the feels, huh? It's what a neat opportunity. And shows the growth that can happen in the storm and the flowers that emerge from that. So thank you. All right. Well, it is time for me to invite up Lauren Journeau. And Lauren, I'm hoping that you got a couple responses to your... Okay, all right. So Lauren with Rotarians in the News.
Thank you. Hello, hello. First, just thankful for you all and your vulnerability and your courage in this room and your just willingness to love and support one another. I joined this club several years ago, and it was a great club then, and we've grown and changed a lot in those 4 or 5 years, 5 years? Ooh. And I love it even more today. And so just thank you for the courage and just being the humans that you are. I only included news that happened since December 18th. So if you're someone that sent me something that happened before that, it's not included, but thank you for your collaboration and contributions. All right, I did send out an all-call thank you to those of you who responded for this collaborative version of Rotarians in the News. Ann Christensen was on WIZM radio yesterday morning talking about the Children's Museum. That might have been Tuesday morning. She was also on Channel 19 on December 30th, and Ryan Geister was on for the museum at their New Year's Eve celebration on the 31st. So good coverage of the Children's Museum. Jake Erickson, several of you sent this over to me. Jake was on WIZM talking about BGC and their Workforce Readiness Center, which is going to be a real asset to our community. So if anyone's connected to BGC, you can pay up for Jake. Scott Horn, unfortunately, has been replaced, maybe fortunately, I don't know how he feels about it, by Gloria Doyle on the arson case. The Tribune's been following that case really closely, and somebody sent that in. Roger Christians was in the news. Roger, what were you in the news for? You forgot to tell me. I think the Tribune. Didn't you say you were in the Trib? I thought you were squealing on yourself. Maybe I misread, but Roger gets to pay up because he squealed on a lot of you. Lee Rosh, I had a good article in the newspaper, or so Marianne says. She also told me that walking the bucket around and just having people report would be much less stressful. I agree. So I believe her that the article was great. There was a great photo, and I have it right here, and we're really good on time, so I'm going to pull it up. I know you can't really see it, but for those of you in the front, did you know that Roger Stanford makes house calls for graduation ceremonies? Yeah, it might have been his house. I don't really know. But either way, he was part of a really touching graduation ceremony this holiday season. There's some pictures on Facebook that you can go look at. Brad Paff on December 27th introduced Senate Bill 437 on Wisconsin Eye, and that's in honor of Bubba's fund. Charlie Bubba Lawning, who was the infant son of UWL's basketball coach. He passed away in 2024. That fund actually sits at the La Crosse Area Community Foundation, so I'll send in $1 for us. But their goal has been to fundraise money to purchase AEDs to put in every licensed childcare facility in this area. If you didn't know, that's not a requirement, but it's an easy way to save children's lives. So really cool fund doing really cool work. La Crosse Public Education Foundation and YWCA La Crosse are among recipients of Green Bay Packers Foundation grants, so congratulations to them. Yes, many others in our community too. Big news for Raven Realty. Bridget Thomas is stepping into a new leadership role as the Director of Growth. Congratulations, Bridget. Yeah, deserves an applause. I just found out that Pedro had his first ski race. Woo! And this was like the first time skiing this season, right? And already like racing down the mountain, which is something I've never done. I ran into a tree when I was 11, so that might be why. I just wanted to shout out because I know we thank volunteers at the end, but we won't thank each person who contributed. My assistants with today's news include Nikki Pownell, Rusty Cunningham, Marianne Gushwin, Art Fahey, Ann Christensen, Ken Graham, Jack Hasse, Travis Bordeaux, Lee Rosh, Bridget Thomas, and Roger Christians. I appreciate your help with the collaborative Rotarians in the news. And I think we might have time for squealers, if there are some. So I'm gonna take the first opportunity to squeal. This week I took my first ever dance class in 36 years of life. And it was so fun. So if anyone wants to know about how you can get involved as an adult, talk to me or Cindy Erickson, who's dances too.
Thanks so much, Lauren. Thank you. What a great way to do Rotarians in the news. So Braggers and Squealers, if you'd like to come up, each Bragger Squeal is about $2, and Lauren has the basket here, and there's the microphone for you. Any Braggers or Squealers? And if you can say your name, please.
Eva Marie Restel. Mine is just in the news. The symphony was in the news. We were on WISM on the 19th and then had a really huge sold out concert on the 20th. So it was a great celebration for the symphony.
Congratulations.
Hi, everybody. I'm Faith Brown. I'm sure you all know by now, but the Sweet Beats Jazz and Desserts Lounge at Capella does open up this Wednesday. That's the first day it's open to the public, and then from there it's pretty much every Wednesday through Saturday. Live music will be 5:30 to 8:30, and then the lounge will be open from 4 to 10 p.m. So come on out and have some drinks, desserts, and jazz.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a squeal?
Oh, 2 more hands on this side of the room. Rob.
Hello, Rob Grover. So just wanted to do a little bit of a brag. End of the year, we had our Great Rivers United Way ugly sweater contest. You might have recalled I was donning one up front one day. We had a goal to raise $10,000 from that. And we actually ended up with 14. And I know a lot of folks in this room voted for their favorite ugly sweater. So, and all that money gets invested back into the community through grants. So we're just so grateful. So thank you all.
Terrific. Thanks. And Carolyn is our final brag.
So coming up, today's Thursday. Monday, January 19th, the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration at Viterbo. Viterbo has very graciously, for the 20th year now, hosted the celebration. We bring in around, this year, probably around 600-700 people. And we have tabling ahead of time. So nonprofit tabling at 5:30, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and the Mayfield Experience. If you're familiar, they're a fun jazz band. And this the celebration starts at 7. You may be familiar with our awardee this year for the Adult Award, which is Vince Hamilton. Vince Hamilton, come celebrate him. He's receiving our award this year. And then we also have our Youth Award, which is goes to a Central High School, Amaya Emler. And then also we have our College Age Award, which is going to Courtney Chambers. And then we also have a speaker. So our speaker, which is Dr. Adams, who will be speaking, our Reverend Adam Russell Taylor, which will be saying a beloved community address. And so come on down on Monday the 19th at 7